On January 9th, 2026, 56,000 developers woke up to this message. It says denied. No warning, no migration path, just gone. A tool called Open Code, beloved by developers, 56,000 GitHub stars, nearly 150,000 weekly downloads, stopped working with Claude AI overnight. Developers paying $200 a month for Claude Max found their workflows dead. One user wrote, using Claude Code now is like going back to the Stone Age. He canceled immediately. David Heinemeier Hansen, creator of Ruby on Rails, called it very customer hostile. Within hours, GitHub issues flooded in, hundreds of comments, mass cancellations. Now, here's what's interesting. Everyone blamed Anthropic, but Anthropic didn't do anything wrong. They closed an economic loophole. Developers were generating thousands in compute cost on a $200 subscription. The math didn't work, and it never will, because Anthropic is always going to fix the math. The real question isn't why Anthropic did this. The real question is, why were 56,000 developers building their livelihoods on ground they didn't own? That's the pattern nobody's talking about. And it's not just developers, it's all of us. Let me show you something. Every week, I see the same conversation. The AI hallucinated, the model made a mistake, GPT gave me wrong information. And then the solution, we need a better model. We need to fine tune more. We need to wait for the next version. But here's what's actually happening. The model isn't failing, the architecture is. The model is doing exactly what it's designed to do: infer probabilistically from the input it receives. If those inputs are fragments, ambiguous, incomplete, unstructured, the output reflects that. Now, you can't fix architectural ambiguity by polishing the model. You just get higher confidence hallucinations. We keep polishing LLMs. We keep hoping a magic genie will appear, but the genie was never in the lamp. The genie was in the architecture, and we never built it. And we forgot to cook the food. Because this isn't just AI. This is a pattern that runs through modern life. Think about it. We eat fast food for years, then blame McDonald's for our health. McDonald's didn't force us to eat there. McDonald's built a system optimized for convenience, speed, and profit. We participated in that system. The health outcomes were predictable. We knew, we just didn't want to see. We swiped for years, then blamed the banks for our debt. But the banks didn't force us to spend. They built a system optimized for frictionless transactions and compound interest. We participated in that system. The financial outcomes were predictable. We knew, we just didn't want to see. Social media. We scroll for years, then blame the algorithms for our anxiety. But the algorithms didn't force us to open the app. They built a system optimized for engagement and attention extraction. We participated in that system. The mental health outcomes were predictable. We knew, we just didn't want to see. Now AI, we build unrented platforms for years, then blame the vendors when they change terms. But the vendors didn't force us to build there. They built systems optimized for lock-in, recurring revenue, and platform control. We participated in those systems. The dependency outcomes were predictable. We knew, we just didn't want to see. Now, I'm not blaming you, I'm blaming the pattern, because once you see the pattern, you can choose differently. Here's an uncomfortable truth. A system wasn't designed to serve you. It was designed to optimize you. For decades, large corporations perfected a very specific operating model, process maps, KPIs, compliance frameworks, standard operating procedures, all designed to answer one question: how do we make humans behave more like predictable machines? Not better thinkers, not wiser operators, not more responsible professionals, just more reliable components. Then SaaS arrived, and SaaS didn't fix this system, it industrialized it. CRM tools, ticketing systems, workflow automation, dashboards everywhere. SaaS promised freedom, work from anywhere, scale without headcount, automate everything. But it created a new kind of cage. Workers no longer own their tools, their memory, their processes, their knowledge. Everything lived inside platforms they didn't control. Expertise was converted into workflows, workflows were converted into subscriptions, and professionals quietly turned into renters of their own careers. Now, look at what happened to those 56,000 developers. They weren't stupid. They weren't careless. They were just doing what the systems taught them to do. Find the best tools, optimize your workflow, stack your subscriptions, get more efficient. And it worked for a while until the vendor changed the terms. The developers who lost access that morning didn't lose a tool. They lost productivity, they lost context, they lost continuity, they lost workflows they spent months building. Because nothing they built was theirs. Not the intelligence, not the memory, not the workflow, and definitely not the identity. It all lived on someone else's servers, subject to someone else's terms. This wasn't betrayal, this was physics. When you build on rented ground, the landlord always wins. Now, AI arrives, and we're making the same mistake. We blame the model when it hallucinates, we blame the AI when it gets things wrong, we blame the technology when systems fail, but most AI failures isn't model failures. They're interpretation failures. AI is a mirror that reflects back to us flaws in our systems, ambiguity that compounds quietly until no one can explain why a system behaves the way it does. We keep polishing LLMs hoping they'll become reliable. But reliability doesn't come from better models. It comes from better architecture, memory that persists, context that compounds, ownership that's clear, accountability that's traceable. Model is just the reasoning layer. If the foundation is fragmented, the reasoning lacks that. So, what's the way out? Not faster typing, not better dashboards, not more certifications, not hoping the next model will be different. The paradigm shift is this: from renter to owner. Not owner of platforms, you'll never own Anthropic or OpenAI. Owner of the intelligence layer that sits on top. Your memory, your context, your workflows, and your worker IP. The old way, your value was how fast you could execute on someone else's system. The new way, your value is the portable, intelligent assets you build that execute work without you. Translation: don't use AI to do work faster on rented platforms. Use AI to build better. Use AI to build worker IP that you actually own. This is the asset. This is the real agent era, not automation, real ownership. Not renting intelligence, building equity. Not polishing someone else's engine, but owning your own car. So here's what you can do this week. Next month, this week, ask yourself 3 questions. Where does my professional memory actually live? Can I take it with me if I leave tomorrow? Who owns my accumulated expertise? If the answer is not me, then that's the crack in your system. Take one small step. Start documenting one process in a format you own. not in Notion, not in Salesforce, not in Google Drive, in Markdown, in a local folder, in a Git repo you control. Small step, but it's the first step towards portability. Stop building equity for landlords. Now, if you're watching this thinking, I've already built automations, I've already got workflows, I've already have apps. How do I convert that into something I actually own? And that's exactly what we built. We are opening installs where we convert one real workflow into a portable digital worker with memory, skills, and auditability inside your own stack. Not a fragile flow that breaks when a vendor changes terms, a reusable worker asset you can install across clients, upgrade over time, and actually own. If you want to see what that looks like, link is going to be in the description. 2026 is not going to be about better prompts. It's not going to be about which models you picked. It's going to be about who owns portable worker assets. Because we spend years blaming the wrong thing. Models aren't broken. The architecture is. Now we have a chance to build something different. Not faster systems, better ones. Comment below what broke for you when a vendor changed terms. What are you still building on rented ground? Drop your story below. If this gave you a new way to think about ownership, like and subscribe. This is MTS, Digital Workforce OS. I'll see you on the next one.